I'm making pumpkin pie made out of real pumpkin and cream, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. It's from the 1800s.
Hi everybody, welcome to our channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today Audrey's going to talk about her famous, in my opinion, famous pumpkin pie.
Hi friends, as you know, we talk about our 1824 Walker Farmhouse, and I always wonder, Rebecca, who was my great-great-grandmother, lived in this house, raised her children in this house, so when we were restoring the house, I just kept thinking, like, you know, what does she think? And did she like this woodwork? And did she like these colors? And did she change the colors? Some of it we know she did. And I was wondering, like, oh, did she make pumpkin pies? So I went down the rabbit hole of pumpkin pies. I found one. It was from 1796, and it was really hard to read. And then the Frugal Housewife Cookbook had one in it, and it was from 1830. So Rebecca and Jonathan got married in 1827, so I thought, oh, maybe that's a recipe she would use. And it's not too far different from ours. You roast the pumpkin, and that's what they would have done then, and strain it and make sure, you know, you mush it up. And so really that's sort of like the canned. And it has the eggs, sugar in it, and I think like whatever spices they would have had, like cinnamon, ginger, that's what I used in it, and I'll share the recipe in our description. And the person that made it, her name was Lydia Child. She was from Massachusetts, a New Englander, and she did the recipe in this cookbook. And I made it, I'll show them to you, and they're delicious. You don't use condensed milk because there wasn't condensed milk then. But so I used whipping cream instead of regular milk. I don't know, do you think like it would have been a heavier, like there wasn't skim milk?
No.
So instead of even using 2%, I made it with whipping cream instead of regular milk. And I think it turned out, turned out good.
Well, little extra information or confession. Whenever you see me in a food video, my main task is I'm a food critic, and it's a good job because the food's always good. Audrey makes after being married this long, she knows what I like, and she does it perfect. So anyway, the pumpkin pie is delicious. We had one not too long ago, and it went very, very quick, and I did more than my part to help along with that task of getting rid of it fast. So,
in the 1796 cookbook, they called it pumpkin pudding, and it was P-O-M-K-I-N, not P-U-M-P-K-I-N. So I thought that was interesting. So really, it was like a custard or a pudding, but we do call it pie. And all the modern recipes, the recipe says like 450 degrees for 15 minutes, and then you go down to 350 degrees. But I don't think if you made it in a fire that's how they would have done it if you hearth cooked it. Even in your other ovens that were heated with wood, I don't think that they would have done that. So I went on to reading some more, and some people cook their pies at 375. So I cooked mine 375 because I think they would have kept a steady fire in their ovens. And I cooked it for about an hour, and it came out perfect. It was really good.
It was delicious.
Yeah. So.
And just we're in the Walker House kitchen, and we've got some questions and comments about the ceiling in the Walker House kitchen. It originally was this high, and the wood ceiling rafters or the floor joists for the floor above. That's what they were, what you see in the pictures. But the answer was when Carl got married, his future wife said, I don't like the ceiling. So he ended up flooring stripping in I don't know if you all recall those 12 by 12 little squares that were sort of tongue and grooved into each other. It had that. When we found the house, there was some furring strips were there, but there was a couple ceiling tiles of that. They over time got tore down, fell down, whatever. But that's the ceiling story of the Walker.
Yeah, a lot of people ask about the ceilings, and I guess when this has been in two family names, so the Walker sold to the Zabolski family. And I just said to Dave, I think it would be really fun to have Larry here, who was born in the house, and video him for history's sake, you know, just to have him here. I mean, he's been here many times, just to have him on video and YouTube, and we could interview him. But I guess, like, you know, some people think with the rafters, I guess she thought, like, there's no ceiling. And so when the Zabolski, the first Zabolski, they kept it without it, with just the rafters. Mm-hmm. And then it was the second Zabolski generation, and she's the one that said, oh, I can't live in that house without a ceiling. And so I'm not sure how many ceilings, but there was those 12 by 12, and supposedly the first ceiling was put in the 30s.
Yeah.
In the 30s. So anyhow, it's interesting, you know, the history and of the ceilings. I think there's two schools of thought, at least for me. One is restore, and so when we found this house, we wanted to restore it. Mm-hmm. We wanted it to be exactly how it was, furnished how it was. Now, Dave and I really went down the rabbit hole of primitives and primitive decorating, and so my house that we live in, it really was full of primitives. When we built this house, we did move a lot of the things in our house that we live in, and that's a converted barn, to this house. We moved a lot of that here. Yeah. And so now, even having farm tours, this house is pretty much how it was in the 1800s. In our house that we live in, I would say we remodeled it. Yeah. And we're talking, somebody was in our bathroom, and they came out and said, how old is this house? And I'll tell you, it has drywall, so it's hard to tell if that's old or not really. It looks like plaster. But Dave made one wall wainscoting, and it's beautiful. And so that looks early. Our floor's early, but we still have 70s woodwork, ranch trim. And honestly, when we did it, we're doing it, I never even thought to change the trim. So David says, just tell them that they are in the hayloft. Yeah. So anyhow, for us, there is two schools of thought. For me, anyhow, restore and remodel. And so this house we definitely restored. Yeah. You know. And
we've blessed, fortunate. It was untouched inside, so it was the molding, the doors, everything was here, and we didn't have to really recreate anything. Right. Just had to clean it up and
just move it and redo it and redo it.
A simple century years later, voila, a house.
So anyhow, thanks for visiting. I'm going to show you the pumpkins here a little bit, and we really appreciate you coming. And you know, please subscribe. I guess it's sort of like Instagram or Facebook. If people subscribe and then you know, check it off and share, comment.
Questions.
That all helps our
words
channel.
Words of encouragement, criticism where necessary. We're open and grateful to all.
Yes. So thanks a lot for following along. I hope to see you real soon, and I'll show you the pumpkin pie.
And here is the Connecticut pie pumpkin that they're made out of. This is the kitchen ceiling. The ceiling looks the same in all 4 rooms and the hall. It's they're roughly, the joists are roughly 20 inches apart or so. They are they're cut wood. Saxonburg had a reciprocating sawmill at the time. We have friends that had a house built, and so that the walls and the log floor joists were hand hewed. All the studs in the wall were hand hewed, but those ceiling joists were cut on a reciprocating sawmill.
And I have a question. Is that how far apart they were?
Yes, exactly. It is.
So that's to the T how we found
Yeah,
it.
and they're not 16-inch centers. They're not floating, but that's what they were.
That's how it
what
was.
they were. Yeah.
Okay, so there's the ceilings for all of those that have asked.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
Well, here's how the pies turned out. They were really good. I decided to make 2 smaller ones instead of 1 large one with the same recipe, and they still turned out okay. I will share with you the recipe in the description here on YouTube, and I also shared it on Instagram on our last post on 1824 Walker Farmhouse in case it's easier for you to save it there. Please hit the notification button so you don't miss anything. And this video is a little late because we've had some computer issues, but I still wanted to share with you our son's neighbor's jack-o'-lanterns. I think you'll be pretty impressed.